And there's what happened here?
I don't know.
It better have recorded everything.
You want to stop it and start it again to make sure it was recording? It said it at the beginning, though.
It did.
You think
Maybe she just reminded us.
Does she usually remind you? Maybe you do hear that on your side?
No.
Because I never hear on
I never hear it on my side. But it says recording, so we're good.
Okay.
Hey, keep it going.
Midlife-ish.
Midlife.
Is it recording?
Ish.
Because it says recording. But
How
she
many?
also did just say
recording. How many Wisdom and Bloom co-hosts does it take to record a video? Two.
When Zoom is acting stupid, it takes two. Welcome to the Wisdom and Bloom podcast.
Welcome.
I am Kamesha.
And I'm Denise.
And we are here to talk to women over 40. Because here in midlife, there's a lot of lifing going on.
Yeah.
And
a whole lot of lifing.
Yes, there's a lot of
too much lifing.
There's a lot of lifing.
I love the word lifing.
I like it too. It's like for the young people, yeah. But I like it.
Yeah. When I first heard it, I not lifing, but I heard someone say the math is a mathing.
Yeah.
You can just ing anything.
Yes.
Okay, I love it.
So they're like, life is lifing. And so life is definitely lifing for us in the middle age. Mm-hmm. And today our topic is about loneliness.
Loneliness at midlife.
At midlife. Mm-hmm. For women especially. Mm-hmm. And we have found some really interesting data and statistics about it that doesn't make us feel really good. But it's always good to have information, right? Because
very insightful.
If you're not aware, right, then maybe you can't make any changes. Mm-hmm. And we also have some strategies that we want to offer for people who are going through, periods of loneliness.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. So let's jump in. But first, I want to just talk about a little bit about our experience today.
Okay.
Our midlife experience today with technology.
Which one? There's so many.
So Kamesha invited me
to a
brunch. So I don't get out much at all, you guys. And so it took rope and tug for me to get to this But brunch.
She had a beautiful time.
But I had a beautiful time. We networked. We were with, a sisterhood of people that was wonderful, that was forthcoming. We got data. Mm-hmm. We got, experience. We talked, to them about some of the same things that we go through as midlife. And then it came to us taking a picture and someone wanted to do a boomerang. And there were nine of us.
Yes, nine of us ladies at the table. A few of us on one end knew how to do it, but the one lady on the other end who was trying to do it was like, how do you do this? And where is it? And we're like, it's in stories. Where is that? And how do you get to it?
And all of us, everyone at the table is over 40. Some of them closer to 60,
over 50.
Over 50. And there were 4 or 5 people trying to figure out how to do a boomerang. And I looked at Kamesha and Lisa and I said, this is that midlife-ish.
And you were like, if my granddaughter was here, she would be like, give me the phone.
Give me the phone.
I'll take care of it. Mm-hmm. And so the one lady, remember, she thought she had it.
Yeah.
But then she didn't have it.
She didn't have it. And then the other lady thought she had it. She didn't have it. And it was like that joke where they said, how many lawyers does it take to screw a light bulb? It's like, how many midlife over 40 women does it take to do a boomerang? 9. The answer is 9.
But we did it.
We did it.
We figured it out.
We accomplished it. Yes,
because one of the ladies that actually did know how to do it was like, all right, let me just because you're not figuring it out.
You ain't getting it. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. How many of you guys have went through this? I've had friends where we have been on the phone and I'm like, share your screen. She's like 65 and I'm like, share your screen. And I'm trying to show her. And then I'm like calling my granddaughter and she's trying to show her. But my granddaughter's laughing at us so hard that we are like annoyed with her, It's that midlife-ish.
Yes.
One day we're gonna have an episode just for that midlife-ish.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say technology challenges.
That's it. That's a part of it.
Yeah. I think they make some of that stuff hard for us. Purposely.
On purpose.
Yes. They do it purposely. Like they don't want us to be able to figure it out.
It's isolation.
Yes.
Community isolation.
Yes.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
It is.
It's like separating us.
Right. It's like it's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is for somebody else.
Yeah. Separating us from the pack.
You are right.
Which brings us to our topic of introducing or loneliness, middle-aged women, loneliness after 40.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever that looked like, whatever you're going through. And before we get into it with some life experiences, Kamesha, I wanted you to share the data that you researched because it's phenomenal. I mean, it really is.
It was quite interesting. Mm-hmm. So there was a Cigna study that was done that found over 50% mm-hmm. of U.S. adults reported feeling lonely.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, now this is just all ages, right? Mm-hmm. But it says the highest level of loneliness were not among the elderly, right? So you always think 80 years old, yep. 70 years old, yep. You know, they're at the end of life, they're lonely and sad or what have you. But no, it says that the highest levels were among Generation X midlife adults, yes. with 46% of women aged 45 to 65 reporting frequent loneliness. Not infrequent, not I have periods or spells mm-hmm. of loneliness.
And not 70-year-olds, not 75 years old. We're talking young ladies over 40, 41, 42, 45, mm-hmm. 46,
50.
Who are saying that they feel socially isolated.
Yes.
And it has fostered a state of loneliness, mm-hmm. which is catastrophic to us, and especially as Black women, because no one comes to our rescue because we are the strong Black woman.
That's true.
You know, and one of the experience, and as far as life experience, once I got to thinking about this, I told you about the experience with my friend who said but then mm-hmm. after we were reading the data, I was like, wait a minute. I don't just have one story or one life experience.
Stories.
There is multiple stories in different age brackets.
Wow.
Because my one friend, she called me and she was telling me about the dating scene, and she's over 40. And she was just saying the dating scene is just that pool is just not, it's a joke.
It's dry.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Dry pool.
Mm-hmm. And the men that are her age or older, they want to be with younger women
because they're not looking for a relationship. Many of them either. No. And it's like, you know, a middle-aged woman, they're looking for real relationships. Mm-hmm. They're not just looking.
They're looking for content.
Yeah.
Context. Content. Yes,
some
they are.
Companionship. Mm-hmm. You don't want some man that just wants to use you so mm-hmm. he can add you. He's 65 and he's still trying to add notches to his belt.
And here you are, 45, 50, 55 years old, and you still got to play these dating games.
Yes.
You still got to play these social media antics, you know, and you're worried about someone who is not serious or lying to you. What you lying for? At 40 and 50 and 60 years old, what is you lying for? Why are you playing these games? I don't understand that. And so she called me, and there's so many times, Kamesha, that she has called me and we've talked through this, and she's such a sweet person. But you know, she's an independent woman, but not to the point where she doesn't want companion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She wants that companion, and she's the whole package, cooking, cleaning, you know, she works very hard, beautiful home, you know, just, she is the package. And she was telling me how the guys, they see all of that and they use her forehead. Instead of bringing an added, you know, component to it, they use her. And she has never, ever told me that she's lonely until this last time I talked with her.
And what did you ask her? Like, why do you keep picking these losers? And she's like, well, because I'm trying to find companionship.
She said, I'm trying. Yeah, but this is the thing. It's not like she is purposely picking them. Like, you know, when you say, girl, you got to stop picking dudes out of the club because you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You know what I mean? they're not coming out of the club.
Yeah.
She's meeting them.
I mean, this isn't what our topic is about, but I do think that we attract certain people sometimes. Yeah. And if you are desperate and are presenting desperate and like lonely and I'll take anyone, then you might get anyone.
Wow. But this is the first time that she has admitted to me. She says, I'm lonely. But then she says, but I'll just have to be alone. Because I can't continue. She's close to 50.
And she's like, I'm just going to have to be alone.
She said, I'll just be alone. She said, because I can't continue to put myself out there and continue to be used and my heart being broken like this. She's like, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for all of the games and the lies and the heartbreak. And at some point you have to recognize that she's right. We're too old for that bull crap. That is some bull crap. But in this statistics, although she is stating a strong mission, I'm lonely, but that loneliness has health impacts. You know what I mean?
It does. Social impacts, mental impacts. And also we learned that there's some differences between the races as well. Like white women, black women, Latino women. So for white women, around 40% of white women aged 45 to 60 reported feeling lonely, right? In an American Psychological Association survey. For black women, because black women often face this loneliness, as you said, which is increased by the strong black woman trope.
The strong black woman trope. That means no one comes to our rescue. She's strong. She could do it. She's Superwoman.
So there was this UCLA study that found that 52% of black women aged 45 plus feel disconnected from their community. Absolutely. And then for Latina women, so, brown women, of course, they are struggling as well. Studies have shown that 47% of Latina women 40 to 60 reported feeling isolated, lonely, because of different expectations that they have from their family and about, working in low-paying jobs even, and having to take care of children.
Not just working in low-paying job, but expected to work in low-paying jobs because they're Latinos. The society is expecting them to work in those type of capacities. And even when you look at the number, although the number for our white counterpart is 40%, the number for the black and browns are much higher.
Yeah, they're almost half.
They're much higher.
Gen X women are feeling this way. And I think that was an important point too about this black woman strength trope. Thing. So that adds to it. And I believe you mentioned earlier, it adds to it because people feel like you don't need anybody.
You don't need help.
You don't need help. You don't need anyone. You're good. You're fine by yourself. And it's almost like if you're not a person that's falling apart completely at the seams as a black woman, then you're good, right? You have a job, you have income, you're able to take care of yourself. Even if you don't have a partner, maybe you have no children, they're like, oh, but you're fine. Like, you're good. Every time, I talk to you, you seem to be okay.
And the visual, that visual discrimination. And what I mean by that is that a black woman can be dressed to the nines from head to toe. Dressed up, shoulders up, confident, and broken down on the inside, and can be in tears in front of you, and they will still look at her as she's a strong black woman. A white woman can be dressed the same exact way, and as soon as she drops those tears, she is a victim. Do you understand?
I understand a white woman tears.
Yeah. And so so she's a victim. And
people come to save her.
That's right.
People come to save her. She is worth saving. She is the princess in the castle. But the black women and Latina, we not worth saving. Yeah. They're like, they'll figure it out on their own. They'll get it together on their own.
Because they're so strong and they're independent. And look, she got on this $300 outfit and she got them $200 shoes. And
she got all the education.
She got all the education. She doesn't get to be lonely. She doesn't get to be depressed. She doesn't get to be broken down. My depression has to look different than my counterparts. depression.
Can you even be? It can't look like anything, really.
But when it does, though, it has to look different. I have to look tethered. I have to look broke down. You know what I mean?
Right.
The visual is different. My loneliness has to look different.
Well, you can't even really walk around crying as a Black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, people be like, "What's wrong with her?" But there's other races is expected. You know, they start crying and nobody is surprised. Everyone's like, "Oh, what do we do to help that person?" You know.
Back to the data. So, why does loneliness matter? Because it's a health crisis. It is a health crisis. There was a study from Brigham Young University that says loneliness can increase the risk of early death for our midlife women by 26%. Chronic loneliness, and you guys got to hear this data because this is crazy. Chronic loneliness has the same health risk as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I don't even smoke, but I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that you can equate the life expectancy to the same life expectancy as a smoker, and the only component over here is loneliness.
Well, you know, I think part of it too is we are now just paying more attention to mental health as like a real part of health.
Right.
We always talk more about physical health. You know, what are you eating? Are you exercising? What does your diet look like? It wasn't really about your mind and what was going on, as though they're not connected for some reason.
Absolutely.
But now that we see they're connected, there's more attention being paid to mental health. And there could have been so much of this going on before, but because no one was paying attention, they was just like, oh, this person, you know, just fell into some depressive state. We don't know why. You know, or this woman is threatening suicide. We don't know why. You know what I mean? Because
it could simply be,
or they said she had a breakdown or something. She was going crazy.
But you hear them say that she has the breakdown, but you don't know where the break came.
Yeah,
you don't know. It had to come from somewhere. I was telling you the story about a lady that I knew that when I was growing up, her son died, and her son was older. Her son was like in his 30s or 40s, and her son passed away. And then later on, a few years later, her husband passed away. She was super lonely, even though she lived in a neighborhood where people were around her. She had become isolated, just forgotten.
So did she isolate herself?
I think it was fostered
or maybe
two ways.
Combination.
Two ways. She isolated herself probably out of depression.
Yeah.
But then the community just kind of forgot about her because she was older. She was like in her 60s, 70s.
And also, I think sometimes people don't know how to react to that kind of sadness. So it's easier to just avoid and be like, oh, I don't want to add to it or be in the way of it. When
be accountable to do something about it for. That's the thing. That's even bigger, to be accountable.
But you weren't accountable.
I wasn't. And I met her, me and my husband, and I remember going to visit her, and I remember her telling us that she was lonely.
Yeah.
And we didn't live there. We were just there visiting and was leaving the next day. And we went by to say hello, like we always do when we come in town.
Right.
And so we went by, and that's when she said she was lonely. You know, and she was like, I don't know what this world has for me anymore. And some days I just feel like killing myself. Wow. And so we ended up staying there with her for like hours and just kind of talking with her and visiting with her. And we, you know, and I mentioned to one of her family, like, she needs help, you know, y'all need to check on her. Yeah. She needs help, you know. Yeah. And literally a year later, she ended up committing suicide. You know, so that health impact of loneliness is huge. This study says that it equates to poor health, depression, suicidal thoughts, heart disease, a weakened immune system, depression, anxiety, cognitive decline. When a woman age 40 or 50 plus lives alone or they're recently divorced, they're more likely to experience these mental health challenges due to decreased social interaction. We're living in a world now with an age gap and social gap and technology gap. And technology has widened that gap even further. The added component of everything's virtual.
Right.
Everything's virtual.
You're not even in touch with people in, you know, in
in
your space.
dialogue.
Yeah, like person to person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
online,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't a very intimate feel
Yep.
many
Yep.
times. But
Mm-hmm.
also because for women in midlife, there's like many unique things that could be happening,
Yeah.
right? If you had children, maybe your children are leaving, so you
Yeah.
become empty nesters, right?
Yeah.
Or perhaps you have a change in your relationship. Maybe you're getting like a divorce, right? So there's this theme of people leaving, right? People leaving for whatever reason. That is kind of unique, I feel, like during that time when there's many women that are going through those same things kind of at the same time. Some women who may have had a job that, you know, been working for the same company for the same 25 years or something, maybe getting ready to retire, and they're like, now what do I do? Because you have a social network at work.
Absolutely.
You have people you're talking to every day, you're seeing, they're checking on you, you've built these relationships. Now you don't have them. You know, there may be a few that you still see here and there, but constant every day is not going to be the same. It's totally different.
Yeah,
so all of these changes are some of the causes, I think, too, for why women experience it to those levels because of our roles. Yeah. Right? As wife, as mom. Yeah. And many times those are really those roles, when we lose those roles, we don't know what
to do.
We are. What's are we? Next? What are we gonna do?
Yeah. We were just talking last night on the one episode where we're like, who am I? Yeah. And most times that who am I question does not happen until you're midlife. 40, 50 years old, when everyone has left. Yeah. You know, the kids are going off to college.
You're identifying yourself through your roles. Right, so you have kids like me in my 20s. I'm a mom.
Yeah,
me too. The last 25, 30 years. So that's who I am. I'm a wife, right? I've been married for all of these years. And when you lose one of those, and you actually have to stop and say, well, now who am I without these people? And I guess some women are not able to answer that question, and they just spiral down into loneliness and depression.
Some women don't even know to ask themselves that question.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And they don't have a community because you've been serving your family for so long that you haven't served yourself by building a community for yourself. You know? So they don't even know to ask that question. They become, you know, non-existent, or they feel like they're not relevant.
Right.
You know?
Right. Nobody cares about me. Like my children have going on with their lives. My spouse, maybe even if they're there, maybe they're working, you're not working, you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my time anymore, you know? So you kind of lose who you thought you were. Yeah. And have to redefine it. Or maybe not. Maybe that's the problem. If you're not like redefining yourself in this new stage of life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That can be really challenging.
So what are some strategies as we research this and looked at data and looked at doctors' articles and looked at psychologists and college articles?
Yes, because we want to talk about what can be done about this, right?
What can we do?
It's not enough just to talk about it. It's what can we do about it?
How do you solve a problem? How do you do it?
One, join a community like Wisdom and Bloom podcast. Join a community. And quite honestly, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, we'll continue to mention, this is why we created this community. Because we wanted women to come together, right? Absolutely. Now, I have to admit, I did not know until reading these statistics how deep a loneliness problem we had with women, especially our women of color in this country. But I do know women who are single, alone, looking, you know, just kind of seeking some new community, seeking some new women, some new conversations, you know, maybe like you said, trying to figure out who they are and what
where
support,
they fit in.
Right, want some support with that, and other women who understand, right? Like, I'm there, I've been there.
Same mindset.
Yeah.
Same, you know, or have been through that, and now on the tail end of it, and now they can help us. Exactly. Get through that.
So there's that, of course. Join our community,
and it's not just podcasting, not just our virtual. We are going to be having events where we can come together face to face with women 40 and over to have these discussions, to meet and greet, to talk, to just share. You know, so look out for those things, because that is why we have built this community. You know, I'm an introvert, so Kamesha's pulled me by rope, but I'm determined to do this. This is just as much my therapy and my learning path as it will be for you guys as well.
Exactly. So of course we want to say join our community. In addition, join other communities like in your local community, right? Join a club, a fitness club, join a book club. They got that pickleball now.
Yeah.
You do pickleball, join a pickleball club. And yes.
Or if you don't do pickleball, learn.
Right. Learn. Like explore some interest. Maybe some interest you may have had when you were younger, but you didn't have time because you had the kids, you had the husband, you had the job or whatever. Now you have more free time. Explore that. Join the crochet club, knitting, you know. So join some of these groups with interests that you might have.
And if you can't find a group, what is your interest? Build a group.
Create your own.
Create your own group, because if you have a certain interest, go out there and look, and you'll see that there are other women that may have that same interest, but thinking that nobody else likes what they're doing. You know, when I met Kamesha, she was book scrapping. What was that you were doing?
Oh, scrapbooking.
Scrapbooking.
Scrapping. What the heck is book scrapping? Books. She was book scrapping. What is book scrapping? Obviously, she never scrapbooked. Obviously.
I've never.
Oh my gosh, not even one page.
I've never booked a scrap. I never did it. And here, wait, but this is what the funniest thing. When I first met Kamesha 15 years ago, 20 years ago, she was talking about
scrapbooking.
Scrapbooking. And she was so enthused
about it. Things. When I get in.
Had so much energy. I went home and told my husband, I have never met a Black woman who scrapbooked. Scrapbook. I said, but I met a girl today who talked my ear off for 35 minutes about scrapbooking.
Oh my God. And I love that you are bringing this up. I'm going to show you some of my scrapbooks when we get done. Yes, but there was actually a
club. Yes,
that
that's what
I
was going to
say. And you are absolutely right. This is the other thing too. This brings me to something that I'm remembering from my book scrapping days.
Book scrapping,
aka scrapbooking.
Sound like the book is fighting.
Share your interest with people.
Yes,
share your interest. So because you don't know. So when I learned about scrapbooking, I don't know how I came across it. Whatever, I don't know how. But then I started telling people like Denise, who's like, I don't know. But then I told someone else, and they're like, my sister scrapbook. She has a scrapbooking club. Oh, you know, my aunt scrapbooks, right? So next thing you know, there's actually other people out there. But if you don't share your interest and tell people, oh, I'm interested in this, I'd love to join a group like this. You know of anybody that has a group like this? You would be surprised.
You would be totally
surprised. Also share your interest with a few people. You know, I mean, obviously I'm not saying go tell it the world if you don't feel comfortable doing that, but share your interest with some people if you don't know where to find these groups, and they may be able to lead you in a direction.
That's right. Book scrapping.
Yeah.
Try it out.
You ain't gonna find nothing for book scrapping, but scrapbooking,
and that's just an example of just something small that would spark some belonging. You need to feel like you belong.
Yes.
That little piece in your heart that is empty and you don't know which direction to go. Please seek out. Don't be lonely. Don't sit in your loneliness, you know. And it's easier said than done, because I am a person who has suffered from depression, who has suffered from loneliness. And when people tell me, and y'all have heard me say this 100 times, when people tell you, just get out of bed, just go take a shower, getting out of bed, it'll take me 5 days to do that, because the act, just thinking of the act of getting out the bed, it overwhelms me. So what I'm telling you is to take the baby step.
Yeah, take a small step.
A baby step.
Right.
And just get out of bed.
Yeah.
And then if that's the only thing that you can do today,
and wave to the neighbors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If that's the only thing you could do is just get out of bed for the day, then do that. Do that one thing until you can add something else onto it. Today I got out of bed and I actually took a shower. You know, add that one thing. Today I got out of bed, I took a shower, and I actually put on clothes. Today I got out of bed, I took a shower, I put on clothes, and I waved to my neighbor. And before you know it, those baby steps are going to be huge line of steps that is going to change the course of your life. I'm telling you guys that loneliness is not a joke. I've been there. I have a therapist. I have people I talk to. I talk with Kamesha. I reach out to people. Podcasting has become my outlet.
Reaching out to people is another thing as well that
yes.
you can do. You can reach out. You can reconnect. Did you know that there was a day called Locate an Old Friend Day? Locate an Old Friend Day was on September 21st. So I learned about this at work because people like to do celebrations. They were talking about birthdays, and then someone said, "Hey, have you all ever heard of this?" It was at one of those group meetings. Nobody had ever heard of it. Yep. But it was literally called Locate an Old Friend Day. And of course, you can make that any day you want. Yes. But it can just be one small conversation. Maybe it's a friend you haven't spoken to, a family member that you are like, oh, I lost touch with them. Yes. You know, and you just never know what difference those conversations make, not just to you, but also to the other person that you're reaching out to. You can start, like you said, very small.
Very small. And it's called, there's a name for starting off small. It's called micro interaction. Don't try to take on everything all at once, because if you're in a vulnerable state, it's going to overwhelm you, and it may push you back further.
That's true.
You know, so it's micro interaction. Start small. Find the community or that fits with you. Find your tribe that you vibe with. Don't get stuck in something that you don't have connections with. Don't commit to anything that you don't have connection with. As we record this episode today is October 11th, and today is actually Black Women Mental Health Day. Take off for Black. So remember that. You don't have to wait for a date. You can do it any day. You know, micro interactions. I say that with so much passion because I am a living witness. I've personally experienced it. I am personally experiencing it now. So let's, micro interactions, just start off small. No one has ever eaten a huge steak with one gulp. You have to cut a piece one at a time. So
and like you said, waving to a neighbor is a small, a micro interaction. You may not feel good enough to go up and start talking to them. What am I going to talk to them about? You know what I mean? But at least just acknowledging them, right? Yeah. That might be a step.
That might be
when you're walking down the street, just acknowledging people you're passing by. Maybe a smile. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because those interactions, I think that kind of energy feeds off of each other too, right? So it helps you, it kind of boosts you a little bit. Maybe if you're down, a person might smile back at you. Say hi back at you, you know?
And our women over 40, all of them, inclusive, Black, white, brown, all of them. We all at some point are suffering from community isolation, self-isolation, fostered environment isolation, social media isolation, because we slowly are being forgotten. Not that people can't go on with their lives and do what they're supposed to do, because that's just the circle of life. That's the ecosystem. That's how it's supposed to be. But at this point, then we have to take charge to say, okay, I'm at this point. What can I do to combat this now new thing, this new lonely thing? This doesn't feel right. I haven't felt this too much. Something's off. Yeah. And when something's off. We can have that smile on our face, that mask, but I'm telling you guys, in your spirit when something is off and something is just not right. So reach
out. Don't be afraid to reach out, to somebody that you trust, to share, what you've been going through. They might be able to help you. Maybe just a conversation may help. Sometimes a small thing can uplift someone, but perhaps you may be going through, deeper struggles. Perhaps you can find a therapist, as you're mentioning, or a group, session. Maybe you don't want a one-on-one kind of thing, but maybe a group interaction might help, you move through this lonely period as well.
And there's a club for everything. I'm telling y'all. If you love to shop, there's a shopping club. There's a group of women who love to shop. And if you are a couponer, there's a group of women who love cutting coupons. If you're a thrifter, there's a group of women who love thrift saving.
Yeah. I love thrifting. Did you say thrift saving?
Thrift saving? What is it? Book scrapping?
Thrifting, just thrifting. You make picking up stuff. But when you're thrifting, you are saving. So there you go.
Thrift saving. Saving on the thrift.
What? Oh, gosh.
Thank you guys for listening to us. Wrap us up, Kamesha.
So we just want to recap by saying that loneliness is an issue.
Yeah.
It is an issue. It is something that is very serious here in the United States, especially for, our women and especially for our women of color. Yeah. And if this is you, try to take some steps to move out of that space.
Micro steps.
You can take some micro steps. If you feel a little braver, you can join, something a little bit bigger. Become a part of a community where you actually feel seen, where you actually build relationships, where you actually maybe can make some new friends, because things do change in our lives, right? Things change. People leave, people move on with their lives, but that doesn't mean that our life is over. That doesn't mean that our life has to be over, right? That just means we're now in a new stage of life. So we care about you. We don't want you to be getting to a place where you're like, nobody cares and nobody would care if I'm not here. Of course people care if you're not here, right? Absolutely. So we want to say, reach out for sure.
And become a part of the Wisdom and Bloom community.
Absolutely.
Become a part, subscribe to us. Eventually we'll have pathways where you can actually join us in some events. Even if it's a virtual event where we can do some groups or do some talking or do some sharing. So we'll have those coming up. We are dedicating this podcast to really building that sisterhood, building that community, and we hope that you are joining us on this wonderful path, this inspiring path, as we jump out there and, jump into something that sometimes that even we are afraid of, but we're doing it and we're going to do it together.
And share your stories with us, right? That if you feel comfortable, maybe you are going through a period of loneliness, or you have gone through a period and you want to say how you were able to, move out of that period and encourage other women on ways that they can move out. So send us some comments, share your stories with us. We would love, to hear them.
Yeah. And we would love to know if there's a topic that we haven't quite hit yet that you may be going through, that we can help research or find resources or tools to mention on our podcast as well.
Absolutely. Well, we are wrapping up another episode
of the Wisdom and Bloom podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. We appreciate you so much. Continue to stick with us and follow us and look out for our new episodes on YouTube and on every platform that podcasts are available.
Yes, Apple, Amazon Music, Google, iHeart, Spotify, Good Pods, Podcast, Castbox. We're out there. We are out there. So look for us. If there is a podcast platform that you use that you don't see us on, drop us a note and we will work to get on that platform as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Denise, for being here. We're in person today.
Yeah. I traveled.
She did. She traveled.
I traveled.
And I'm so excited that she traveled. I traveled. Wonderful. All right. Well, in the meantime, ladies, our next episode, as we always like to say, keep blooming.
Keep blooming, ladies. Bye-bye.
So funny. That book scrapping. What's